I simulated 10 seasons of F122 in MyTeam career mode to see if there's any crazy driver wins or driver moves coming up in the next 10 years. Starting off in Season 1, this is obviously the current F1 season that's happening right now, so all the drivers are going to be with the same teams. Constructors' Championship was won by Ferrari for the first time since 2008, with Charles Leclerc also taking his first Drivers' Championship. On screen, you can also see the top 10 drivers, along with any wins, sprint wins, fastest laps, and their total points that they've accumulated across the full season. It was quite a close battle between Charles and Max this year, with Max actually getting more wins throughout the season with 9, whereas Charles only got 8. George Russell picks up his first 2 wins in Formula 1 with his teammate Lewis Hamilton getting 3. However, at the end of the season, the teams were hit with some regulation changes, more specifically to the aerodynamics and chassis departments. As we move on to the driver transfers at the end of the Season 1, Valtteri Bottas decides to hang up his boots and retire from F1, with the reigning champion Charles Leclerc replacing him at Alfa Romeo. Charles returning to the team that gave him his Formula 1 debut instead of sticking with the team that provided him his first championship. I must admit, I was a bit surprised when I saw that. However, Oscar Piastri will take his place in the Scuderia Ferrari team for Season 2. Okay, so moving on to Season 2, Ferrari really suffered with the loss of Charles Leclerc as they dropped 5th in the Constructors' Championship. Red Bull and Max Verstappen take full advantage of this by claiming both the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship. Max winning more than half of the races this season with 12 out of possible 22. Russell getting 6, Norris with 2, and even Fernando Alonso managed to get a win in the Alpine. Former champion Charles Leclerc managed P9 in a not so good Alfa Romeo, while also setting 2 fastest laps. At the end of the season, no regulation changes will come into effect, however there were quite a few driver moves. First of all, Sebastian Vettel retires from Formula 1 after 16 years, so with the Canadian Nicholas Latifi taking that seat. Oscar Piastri just didn't impress in the Ferrari and will be moving to Williams for Season 3, and F2 rookie Dan Ticktum steps up for the remaining seat in the Ferrari. Now we move into Season 3, where the Constructors' Championship remained pretty much the same. However, Mercedes managed to take the top spot within the championship, and Red Bull only managing P2. Just despite that, the Red Bull driver of Max Verstappen manages to retain the Drivers' Championship, securing 12 wins throughout the season, winning more than half the season, just like last year. Russell came P2 with 3 wins, but 10 fastest laps, which helped him stay ahead of Lando Norris in P3 by a single point, Norris managing 7 wins. There's bound to be a shake-up next season, with regulation changes coming to an effect, mainly affecting the powertrain and the durability departments. There were some big moves this season, going into Season 4, with the main one being Sir Lewis Hamilton retiring from Formula 1. He didn't manage to win this season, which puts an end to his streak of winning at least once in every season, even since his debut in 2007. With this, the smooth operator of Carlos Sainz makes the move to Mercedes. His former teammate from McLaren, Lando Norris, moves up to the Ferrari, with the F2 driver Robert Schwartzman replacing him in the McLaren. A simple driver swap was also made between Alfa Romeo and the Ferrari, with Dan Ticktum moving to the Alfa Romeo, with Zhou Guanyu taking his place. Moving on to Season 4, and there's been a bit of a shake-up in the Constructors and Drivers' Championships. Mercedes managed to retain their Constructors' Championship, with their driver George Russell actually winning his first ever Drivers' Championship. It was quite a dominant display, winning half the races of the season, a bit like Verstappen's done the past 2. Verstappen actually gets P2 with 8 wins. Sainz in P3 secured 4 fastest laps, but is still without his first win in this simulation. Lando Norris manages to get 3 wins with his new team Ferrari, and his teammate Daniel Ricciardo manages to set 4 fastest laps in the McLaren. There was no regulation changes this year going into Season 5, however there were a few driver swaps. The transfers kind of went in a little bit of a circle. First off, Zhou Guanyu not impressing at Ferrari, so he loses his seat. Oscar Piastri actually regained his Ferrari seat after losing it a couple seasons ago, which leaves Robert Schwartzman to move to Williams, opening the space for Zhou Guanyu at McLaren. In Season 5, Red Bull managed to bounce back and claim their second Constructors' title of this simulation after an absolutely dominating display from Max Verstappen. He managed to win his 3rd Drivers' Championship of this simulation after winning 16 of possible 22 races. He managed to set the fastest lap in 13 of them. The Ferrari of Lando Norris managed to get 3 wins to start a possible resurgence for the team after they claimed third in the constructors. Second place went to Mercedes, with George Russell winning just 2 races this season. A surprise winner of Esteban Ocon in the Alpine helped them claim fourth. However, Red Bull's domination may be incredibly affected by the regulation changes, as there's changes to all performance departments, those being aerodynamics, chassis and powertrain. At least this is what Sergio Perez believed anyway, as he decided to retire from the sport after 15 years. The young Brit Lando Norris takes his seat in hopes of finally winning a championship, since they are proving quite dominant this season. Yuki Tsunoda replaces him in the Ferrari, whereas F2 driver Felipe Drugovich managed to get a seat in the AlphaTauri alongside Pierre Gasly. The regulation changes didn't seem to stop Red Bull in Season 6, as they managed to secure both the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship with Max Verstappen. George Russell was unlucky not to be crowned champion after winning 12 races, which is more than half, all 3 sprints and setting 12th fastest lap. Max actually managed to win the title on the last race in Abu Dhabi, beating George by 2 points. Lando Norris and the other Red Bull managed to secure 2 wins and help them win their 3rd Constructors' Championship. I think the FIA are trying to do the best they can just to stop Red Bull, as they're introducing more regulation changes, this time to aerodynamics and durability. Fernando Alonso's retirement from Formula 1 aged 46 this season caused many drivers to move teams. First off, Zhou Guanyu moves to the vacant Alpine seat, allowing Mick Schumacher to move into the McLaren. The F2 driver Jehan Daruvala moves into the Haas. Felipe Drugovich is unfortunately dropped by AlphaTauri to make way for Robert Schwartzman as he leaves Williams, but this allows Nicholas Latifi to return to the team and team up with Albon, just like the start of this simulation. Theo Pourchaire is then promoted from Formula 2 and takes the last seat in the Aston Martin. Moving on to Season 7 now, and Red Bull's domination continues as they manage to win a 3rd consecutive Constructors' title, with Max also winning his 3rd consecutive Drivers' Championship. Verstappen and Russell both managed to secure 10 wins throughout the season. However, more consistent, high-scoring races as well as an extra sprint win helped Max secure his 6th title in Formula 1, only needing 1 more to level the icons of Lewis Hamilton and Michael Schumacher. Lando Norris in the other Red Bull secures 2 more wins, with Charles Leclerc still proving he can drive by setting the fastest lap and finishing P5 in the standings. At the end of the season, there was no changes to the technical regulations, however there was a driver retirement. Pierre Gasly decided to retire from Formula 1 in this 7th season, with his fellow countryman Theo Pourchaire taking his seat in the AlphaTauri. This allows Felipe Drugovich to return to F1, taking Pourchaire's vacancy in the Aston Martin. In Season 8, Max and Lando managed to take Red Bull to a 4th Constructors' Championship in a row. However, George Russell disrupts Max's chance to become a 7-time world champion by winning the Drivers' Championship for the 2nd time. He managed to get 9 wins, with Max getting 8 and Lando getting the last 5. A strong season from Yuki Tsunoda helps Ferrari move up to P5 in the Constructors after finishing 8th and 9th in the past 2 seasons. The Williams of Albon manages to finish P10 after a strong showing this season. There are set to be more regulation changes at the end of the season, with the directives being changed for powertrain and chassis departments. After a strong performance this season, but still without a Drivers' Championship, Lando Norris decides to retire from Formula 1, probably to focus on streaming or something. Charles Leclerc moves into the Red Bull in hopes of winning a 2nd title. Dan Ticktum also moves away from the Alfa Romeo as he swaps with Kevin Magnussen in the Haas. The Kiwi of Liam Lawson takes the last remaining seat in the Alfa Romeo to make his debut in Formula 1. Season 9 was an absolutely dominating display from Mercedes as they take both the Constructors and Drivers' Championship. I know it's not on screen, but Mercedes scored 551 points compared to Red Bull's 594. George Russell takes his 3rd Drivers' Championship and his 2nd in a row after securing 16 wins in this season. Carlos Sainz and other Mercedes managed to get his 1st win in this simulation, with Max getting 3, Leclerc getting 1, and Ricciardo finally winning another race. A strong showing from McLaren keeps them P3 in the Constructors, with their drivers in P5 and 6 just behind the Red Bulls and Mercedes. Albon managing to improve on last season and secures P7 in this season's standings. Unfortunately, going into the final season there's no regulation changes, which could result in another dominating performance from Mercedes. Some interesting driver moves were sparked this season by the retirement of Nicholas Latifi, with Yuri Vips taking his seat. Liam Lawson has been dropped from F1 after just 1 season, with Jehan Daruvala taking his space. This leaves an open seat in the Haas for Theo Pourchaire to take, allowing Richard Verschoor to make his Formula 1 debut in the AlphaTauri. Moving on to the final season of this 10-year simulation, and it's Red Bull back on top. They managed to secure their 6th title, as well as one of their drivers winning the championship. This driver is Charles Leclerc, winning his 2nd of the save, and ending any chance Max had of becoming a 7-time world champion. Leclerc won just 5 races in this 16-race final season, whereas Verstappen won 9. So Verstappen actually won more than half, but Leclerc still won the title. Russell took the last 2 wins in order to finish P3 in the standings. Yuri Vips and Yuki Tsunoda both managed to get a fastest lap point this season, with the rest going to either Verstappen, Leclerc or Russell. Ferrari take P3 in the Constructors ahead of McLaren due to a solid season from their Japanese driver Yuki Tsunoda. Ricciardo and Schumacher not doing the best, but they still done well to come P6 and P8 in the standing. This is the final season of the career, so obviously there's no regulation changes or driver moves, but we will go on to the total stats for this 10 seasons. As we look at the final stats for the 10-year simulation, I mean, it's clear to see who has dominated. Red Bull and Max Verstappen. Red Bull winning more than half of the Constructors' Championships with 6. Mercedes managing to win 3, and Ferrari only winning once, and that being in the first season. But when it comes to Drivers' Championship, Max Verstappen won exactly half, with 5. Mercedes driver George Russell manages to win 3 titles, and Leclerc won a driver's title twice with 2 different teams. Ferrari in the first season, and Red Bull in the last season. So it kind of went like a full circle. Over the course of 10 years, there was 9 different race winners, including 3 of them getting their first win. Those being Russell, Sainz and Norris, if we ignore Sainz's first win this year. Max wins almost 100 races in the 10 seasons, which he probably would have reached if I actually did a full final season. I accidentally clicked 16 races, I'm sorry. Russell manages to claim 73 wins, making him the driver with the 4th most wins in history. Lando manages to win 24 races, Leclerc 14, Hamilton only won 4, which was quite surprising, and then Sainz, Ricciardo, Alonso and Ocon all winning once. But that is going to be the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. It's taken quite a while to make, so if you could leave a like, that would be much appreciated. Let me know if you want me to do this again. I actually quite enjoyed making it, I'm not going to lie. I've also thought about maybe adding in an 11th team and then simming 10 years, and just seeing what happens there. But let me know in the comments what teams, whether or not I should do this again, how I can make it better, you know, just give me all the suggestions of everything you want. Thanks for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe, goodbye.